And welcome back to What If Week. I've been doing a lot of videos today, so I'm starting to get wrong eye. I still got to do one more today. But this one comes to me from Cassandra Thompson. I don't know if I got anyone else that suggested this. If I did, just put your name in the comments below. I'll put you in the description. But you asked, what if I was Yamcha? Now, there's two ways for me to work with that topic. What if I was Yamcha and and I'm me, and I know everything that's going to happen in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, all that. Or what if I was Yamcha? Didn't know that, but I mean, what if me personally was Yamcha? Like I had Yamcha's ability and my mentality that went with Yamcha. Well, let's address that first one real quick. If I was Yamcha, I might have trained a little harder, but ultimately I wouldn't have changed a damn thing because I know it's all going to turn out good in the end for our heroes. So if I actually end up doing anything wrong, like changing the history, changing the timeline, I'm going to screw things up immensely and possibly make things worse. I can't guarantee that my actions wouldn't have major repercussions. See, this isn't like if I insert myself as a character in the story and then what would happen if that's the case. You're asking me what if I was Yamcha and then what would happen from there. And saying that, if you I can't really change the events because if I change one event, let's say I trained hard enough that I could help Goku survive Raditz. If I did that, then we're screwed because Goku doesn't train to King Kai, is probably not going to get strong enough to beat Raditz or Vegeta. Even if we tried to take the hyperbolic time chamber into equation there's still no guarantee we'd be able to make it through the hyperbolic time chamber, unfortunately. As much as I'd like to believe we could, because we just wouldn't be strong enough. Okay, or let's take another one. Let's say that I managed to stay and marry Bulma. The future's screwed. We're screwed because Trunks is not a Super Saiyan. That being said, with the multiverse theory, all that might still happen, but it's unlikely. Or the Trunks we get is not a Saiyan Trunks, and he's not able to beat Frieza. Now Goku would come and beat Frieza, but still, he's not able to aid and help with the scenario. Vegeta does not train in the same way like he did in the initial. Even though he didn't like Trunks training with him, he still had Trunks to train and push him to some degree. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Probably not a good idea if it's me knowing everything that's going to happen and trying to change it. But what if I'm Yamcha, but with my type of mentality? That does change up a little bit. Like Yamcha would be like a successful baseball player. Would I have gone into that? Well, quite frankly, no. I don't like baseball. I actually probably would have stuck with martial arts. I really would have. Which means I would have automatically been stronger than the Yamcha we got in the series, whose power level, when Bulma read it after the whole Rad thing, was about 177. Now, how much stronger would I have been? That's a hard question because we only get really one benchmark of how far Yamcha progressed in terms of power, and that's when he trained with the group for the Saiyans. He went from 177 to, I believe, 1,400 and, oh crap, was it 26 or 9 or what was it? Yamcha power level. Hold on. Yamcha power level. Son of a... Yamcha power level. What was that? Okay, 1,480. That's where and that's the official power level reading. So he went from 177 to 1,480. That's not 10 times, mind you, but it is close to an 8 times multiplier. Like it's certainly above a 7, but like just below an 8. If I'm not mistaken, I got that math right. Did I get the math right? Yeah, it's just a little below 8 times multiplier. But that's when he was training with everyone together. On his own or with a Roshi or occasionally a Krillin. And I'm sure maybe I would try to train with like Krillin or something like that. we know Tien was about 250. I would say I probably still wouldn't be as strong as Tien just because Tien was just naturally stronger than Yamcha. But I'd probably be close. I'd probably be like a 240. So when we get to the Saiyans showing up and coming and training for that, where does my power go from there? I'd probably, again, with my personality, I'd be putting the utmost, I'd be putting as much effort in training as possible, trying to get as strong as I can. I'd probably we'll just round it out to a full 10 times, let's say. Actually, I won't go as high as 10 times. Let's say 8 times, just because he was just below 8, and it just makes for easy numbers. So let's say 8 times. That would put my power level at that point. And that, by me getting stronger, it also strengthens the group to a certain degree. So we could even Yamcha or Tien out to a full 2,000, Krillin to a full 1,600, because his actual power level suppressed is around 1,200, and then the Daisenshu says it's about 17 or so, because he did that super energy blast. But then Namek says it's about 1,500, which tells me his actual power level is about 1,500. But so yeah, we could put Krillin a little stronger. Chaozu maybe give him an extra 50 on there. Again, it wouldn't really matter. But 8 times the 240, that puts me, roughly speaking, at 3, puts me about 1,900. Which means I would survive well, first off, I would be keeping my wits about me a bit more than Yamcha did when the Cybermen were around. But furthermore, even if the Cybermen had latched onto me, being nearly 2,000 in terms of power level, I think would give me enough power to survive the hit, or that explosive hit from the kamikaze assault, if you will, from the Cybermen. Granted, I think I'm still down for the count, but I'm not dead. It's like, guys, sorry, man. So there's that. Now with Yamcha, and then everything else happens the same. But with Yamcha being alive, me Yamcha, you are. That does change the dynamic now completely. I'm now there for Namek, so I go and chill out with them, and basically head to Namek with them. Now, for the sake of even numbers, we'll say I'm evened out to 2,000 at that point. So me, Krillin, and Gohan both go to Namek, and we're floored by Frieza. I'd probably be like, I can't do anything. We get out of the way of Deborah, all that. Basically, there's a lot of us just kind of sneaking around, and it's a lot of the same, except Yamcha's there. Except Yamcha's also there with Bulma. So, try to reassure your girlfriend, make sure she understands that we gotta be this, and like, I love you and all that. And she kind of has this nice thing, and we spend some moments together. It's nice. But duty calls. We all get our potential unlocked. Now, that being said, the initial multiplier for getting your potential unlocked, it still kind of varies a little bit for me. Seeing as I got the power levels up here right now, why don't I take a quick look at that? Let's see. Where's my Namek Saga? Stupid ads. Namek Saga. Okay, there we go. Namek Saga. There we go. So, Namek Saga, they both start out 1,500. However, once they got their energy unlocked, where is Goku, Gohan, Krillin? Krillin versus Goldo. He was over 10,000. And then Krillin versus Recruit, he was over 13,000. He increased just from that fight. But being over 10,000 and Gohan being over, where is Gohan? Gohan and Krillin were actually the same. Their multipliers were the exact same. They were over 10,000. Now, they probably weren't 11,000, so let's just round up to an even 10.5. That means, basically, that they took if I've got my math right on that, 7 times increase from the get. But then the actual amount they grew by varied. Gohan, when he fought Raccoon, was actually 14,000, and Krillin was 13,000. Krillin ended up at 75,000. Gohan ended up at around 200,000. So it varies from person to person what their actual overall increase is going to be. But the initial one seems to be at times 7, which would put me at 14,000. just initially. Now, in terms of where I end up, I'm gonna guess Yamcha doesn't have as much potential as Krillin does, and Krillin took an overall 75 times 1500, 10, 50. So he took about 50 times multiplier. I'm gonna be a bit more conservative and say Yamcha's about half that. Tien would probably actually be more than even Krillin, because he's only half human. But I'm going to say Yamcha probably would take half that. So his overall multiplier from his base would be about a 25,000, or 25, which would, again, doing basic math here, put him at about 50, which is still very impressive. Ultimately, I mean, we get to the Ginyu Force fight, and it doesn't really, it plays out about the same. Like we fight Goldo, and it goes the same. We all get a bit of a boost. I'm probably now at 15,000, whereas Gohan was 14, Krillin was 13, and we all get our shit kicked in by Raccoon, unfortunately. Then obviously we'll all get some senzu beans from Goku. I'll be batting around 50,000, which is still pretty solid. Unfortunately, this is where I'm kind of falling to the wayside as a character, even though I'm doing my best. My energy attack, where I get to control it, is very useful, but it can only do so much. Good for distraction purposes and maybe hitting someone in the face, but that's about it. At least at this point in the series. But still, we're doing our best, trying to take on Frieza. It's not working out well. I don't get Zenkai, so I'm kind of screwed at this point. I probably still die or come close to death, and eventually I'll get resurrected back. All that goodness. Cut to the Android Saga. Unfortunately, no matter what I do in this circumstance, I'm not going to be able to catch up with anyone who's being a major player in the fights. Piccolo, Goku, Vegeta. I'm just not going to be able to catch up with them. That doesn't mean I'm still not going to keep trying. And unlike Yamcha with his dumbass thinking he could handle the 400 times gravity, I think I will try when I go for the gravity training, when I do it at night, whereas Vegeta does it during the day, I'd probably, progress like Goku, except that 50,000, I could probably handle 50 times worth of gravity. Don't know if I can handle the 100, but I can handle the 50 and go from there. Where my power ultimately ends up, it's kind of moot. I probably don't get one shot by 19, or no, was it Jiro or 19 at one shot at Yamcha? Oh, either way, I don't get one shot by the Andrew this time. Like when the Andrew grabs me, I was like, "God damn!" So I would take all of you. Then I just blast him straight in the face, and it does manage to drop me, though. I feel my energy greatly diminished. Do me and Bulma still stay together? It's a fair question. I like to try to keep my relationships going. Like, I don't like being dumped. I don't like any of that. So I try to be, do the best I can by my girlfriend or my significant other. So I would like to say that me and Bulma would stay together, but because of who Bulma is, there's a good chance we still end up breaking up. It is what it is. It's life. Maybe I go and find Launch and see if she's interested in going out or something like that. No, I probably wouldn't be if it's me, I'm not attracted to Launch. Anyway, so once we get past that, at this point, it becomes a little. It kind of becomes formulaic. I would be kind of like Tien, where I would never stop training. I don't think. I also, the day job isn't a bad idea. Like the baseball career or something akin to it, not a bad idea. But ultimately, I'm not playing a huge part in the actual series anymore. Up until we get to Super, where I would imagine I'm probably stronger than Tien at this point. And because I didn't stop training, I'm probably stronger than Krillin. Only because Krillin stopped training after a while. Remember, too, I'm someone who had their inner potential unlocked. So, there you go. It probably does aid in your long-term training to some degree. Look at Nail. Nail probably had his inner potential unlocked because your average Namekian isn't very strong. Even warrior Namekians are only about 3,000. So take that for what it's worth. So I would actually probably be on the list of people to recruit for the Tournament of Power, which means there wouldn't be a Frieza which actually means there would be some big changes. I would probably still be one of the first 4 to get knocked out. Or at the very least, I'd be smart enough to avoid fighting anyone of any major battle or anything like that. I feel like I would try to outlast as many people as I could, using my energy techniques, particularly that Yamcha used, to kind of like hit people from afar and then knock them off if I can, then backtrack. I'd like to believe I'd be there for the Goku versus Jiren fight the first time around. And then I'd be the one to find Goku and actually, give him a solid amount of my energy. Because I know it's like, I'm not going to be the one that wins this. It's going to be you or Vegeta or whatever. So giving Goku a solid return of energy, like maybe like a quarter of my energy at that point. And, then go back into fight. And then probably get knocked out, maybe try to do a suicide run with someone. So with that, Goku would have a much easier time actually dealing with Kefla and Kale, to the point where I don't know if we would see Kale and Caulifla, to the point where I don't know if we would see Kefla at the point where he'd be handling him a lot easier. My guess is we probably would, because of Goku's nature. So we then cut. So fast forward now to the I'm gonna say when 9 and Universe 7 and 9 truly face off. There is no Frieza. In fact, but I will say this: I will substitute Frieza with Piccolo, because it's a bum rat Piccolo God being knocked out by that tiny little son of a bitch. And I imagine that I would be someone who's knocked out a couple of the opponents that'd be giving Piccolo some trouble. Because I'd be focusing on individuals. I'd be focusing on more people. So, with that said, with Piccolo there, how does that... I think Piccolo and Gohan tag team, definitely. 17 tag team Dispo. Piccolo is actually able... And I think is actually a better form of attack than what Frieza and Gohan were doing. Because Piccolo's stretchy arms come into factor here. And they actually bind Dispo. And then they both basically tag team and blast him out of the ring. And then they go and aid 17. Now, because they're not fighting dirty like Vegeta was, like Frieza was, I don't think you see Super Saiyan God or God energy, Super Saiyan God, God Destruction Topo energy. So, I think he just gets knocked out, and then it's all 5 of them versus Jiren. Now, it kind of goes the same, although 17 and 17 I still think does the whole kamikaze effect, and I think Piccolo gets knocked out. Gohan gets knocked out. Vegeta's... I think basically you get a different version of what we got in the original, except it's Gohan, Goku, and 17 taking on Jiren. Which is kind of what that ending was implying in the anime, which kind of sucks. That would have really been cool. Father-son tag team with 17 providing that backup. Still love that shot where he fires the energy and it follows them while they're running. That's a great shot. Love that shot. But ultimately, I still think it ends up the same. Either it's 17 or Gohan who ends up surviving to the end and wishing back the universes. So if I were Yamcha, I'd be rich. I would, because I'd be capitalizing on that. If I were Yamcha in Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball Super, all that, probably it wouldn't have a huge impact, but there would be some noticeable impacts. Again, no Frieza in Tournament of Power, which is a pretty big one. I would actually be there on Namek to help out. And, help out the best as I could. But ultimately, I still wouldn't be having a huge... you wouldn't be seeing God Yamcha. Like God Ki Yamcha. You wouldn't be seeing, super amazing Yamcha. You'd just be seeing a very competent Yamcha, I'd imagine. So... that's kind of what I think would happen if I were Yamcha in Dragon Ball Z or in the Dragon Ball series. Now, mind you, again, this is what if I were me or if I were Yamcha, but with my mentality and my personality, not if I were Yamcha with everything I knew about Dragon Ball Z, because again, I wouldn't really do anything different because that changes the outcome and that might not help the future of the series or the characters in that series. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hit that bell if you want notifications, and comment down below if you want us to do a video on something. Just, you know where to put it. Until then, later, folks.